Now we go into the resignations and appointments. First, we have the resignation of Jay Cairleglio,
I'll make it.
Public
I'll
Works
second.
Commission alternate seat, effective immediately.
There was a line.
There's a line. All right, so we have a motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. I'd like to add another item 6A to the agenda. It's the Department of Public Works new truck and trailer.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Mr.
Need a
Neff?
vote.
We got a vote.
Need a vote.
Yeah, well, I just want
No, we got to vote to
We have
put
to
it out
vote to
there.
add
to,
it.
yeah, okay. Any discussion first?
No, we didn't.
All right, in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carries. Great. Okay. Now, let me just pull this out.
I'd be happy to talk about it, Bruce, because I think they all have copies of it.
I read the email.
I read it.
Yeah, I read your email.
So essentially, just to recap, as Director of Public Works and working with my people who are from the construction industry that we've been fortunate enough to hire, meeting with the Public Works Commission at a legally convened meeting prior to meeting with the Board of Selectmen on the 19th. Presented to you something that's been done in the past. It predates my term as Director of Public Works in terms of using state purchasing on items. There are items I have not gone out with state purchase because I know that traditionally they have not been in the best interest of the town. But we have found over the years that trucks and heavy-duty equipment based on municipal bids or municipal pricing or on state pricing, which is controlled by the Department of Administrative Services at the state, has proven to be a very good deal for the town. So we did solicit the state bid for the chassis and it happens to be Freightliner, which we have used, not exclusively, but we have a lot of Freightliner equipment that we've had very good luck with. We asked for options that we need in order to operate during the winter for driver comfort when they're in the cab for anywhere from 14 to 24 hours. We solicited it's a hook lift truck. All the apparatus that in the hook lift part is also part of the state bid. And we presented that on meeting on the 18th July to the Public Works Commission. Two members were not present, which was the chairman and Jay. Carl Neary was there. I forget who was there, but anyway, people on the Public Works Commission are also familiar with construction equipment and trucking, as John knows Carl. And so we went through a heavy question and answer period at that time, and they recommended I move forward with you. I came to your meeting. A gentleman who was not present at the meeting the night before showed up at the meeting and said that we could save $5,000. At that point, we actually stopped the process in terms of internally. And we went to the person that Jay suggested. We asked them for a chassis bid. We asked them for gave them actually exactly what Freightliner. We just took the prices off and said, here, tell us what you can do. They gave us information back. They couldn't meet a lot of the options. There was just a lot of things that didn't do what we wanted to do. And some of them were major, like Freightliner is an aluminum cab, aluminum tanks, aluminum air tanks. International was all steel. We could buy a 5-year extended warranty on the wiring for the Freightliner truck. We couldn't get that through International. And in a corrosive environment that we deal with, where we're spreading salt all over the place and driving through the worst of it all over the place, we had nothing but issues with wiring on trucks. And nothing with issues but rot. So those were two very attractive features that we looked at. However, in the interest of everybody having a discussion about it, I requested that the chairman of the Public Works Commission convene another meeting, special meeting, to go over anything they wanted us to do. We offered to go back out to bid. We offered to, however they wanted to handle it was fine with us at that point. there was a lot of emails that were very unprofessional that went back and forth. Even though the individual who was having a problem with this, we told him, wait till next Tuesday, we're having a special meeting, we'll talk it over. If it's a determination of the Public Works Commission, then we go out to bid. I'll revisit the Board of Selectmen and we'll request to go out to bid. We went through it again at that meeting with, Mike Kessler was chairman there, with another group of people, some that weren't at the last meeting. I think there's only one person who has not heard the presentation at this point. And another heavy question and answer period where questions were asked, information was given, exchange of thoughts and ideas. And there was some talks about not trading in, auctioning versus trading in, and we said we would go back and look at that. Though we have not had a lot of luck with auctioning equipment at all. And then the commission again motioned us to go to the Board of Selectmen. I said I wanted to go back to the Board of Selectmen based on all the controversy and explain to them again what we were doing. And they motioned us to go back and reapproach the Board of Selectmen to go through the same process again. Since then, unfortunately, we're getting threatening phone calls, we're going to be exposed, we're cheating the taxpayers, we're doing all that. And there's really no way to proceed here other than to go out to bid. So even though the Public Works Commission has authorized us to reapproach on the state bid, none of my staff feel comfortable doing that at this point. So what we're going to ask you to do is to pull back on the authorization that you gave us on the 19th of July to proceed to the Board of Finance and allow us to go out to bid. Everybody needs to understand that the best price isn't always the best product. So when we compare specifications, we compare what we're getting and what the town's receiving, because we keep these trucks 25 years. So we're not going to buy something that is not designed to do what we need it to do. So we'll go.
If we go back up.
We just feel, listen, if you guys want to say, no, we're comfortable with what you're doing, I'm fine with that. We've just read so much, John. Yesterday, Mary got a call down here. They were, threatening to expose us and to do all kinds of stuff. And I think because nobody outside the Public Works Commission has come and asked us any questions about the process, any questions about the equipment, any questions about how we did what we did. So it's just a bunch of, it seems to me that if you're not comfortable with the process from the outside and you don't like what the outcome of the process is, then everybody's wrong.
It's going to take a lot of time.
It is going to take long. What we intended to do was we wanted to, as part of the program, we're retiring 2 large pieces of equipment that they're at their end of. One of them is definitely at its end of life. The other one's been nothing but problems since I've been here, even though it's a younger truck. Because we didn't want to put them through the DOT inspections, because that's usually costly by the time we're done with that. We didn't want to invest any more money into them in terms of trying to get them through the winter. And so we tried to do the truck at a point that it would have been delivered in December, so that we could have just retired those trucks at that point in time and put them aside. We're beyond that now. We're not going to get it now probably until the spring. I don't have a problem with going out and recommending state purchasing and giving the reasons, which I've given to you and to the Public Works Commission, but I am offering to you, if you feel it's more prudent for us to go out and bid it, we'd be fine doing that. We just don't want to make the final decision at this point. And we'd like to give the Board of Selectmen an opportunity to review that decision, and if they feel uncomfortable with it, then we should do what you guys would like us to do.
What about what about the topic of selling the vehicles that are going?
There's 2 issues with that. One is, if you ask Carl Neary about those trucks, he has a couple of them. He wouldn't give you $3,000 for them, because they had that particular year, that particular model has a history of issues. That truck has been in the department, and it's a truck where in the middle of the road it just stops, just dies. And you go slam the door, you do this, you do that, and then it starts up again. And we've had nothing but trouble with it. The other issue with it is, Carol, It's an all-season body that's shot. In other words, anybody that buys it's gonna have to put a new body on it in order to use it as a dump truck or to use it anything further. So, and it's got a lot of wiring, it's not that you have to tell people that, but you know, you sell it as is, but anybody in the industry you look up, we've looked up online, if they're just used strictly as a dump truck, they sell for 11 to 15,000, but this isn't just a dump truck. This has been out in the winter and it's very obvious that because it's an all-season body that it's used to spread salt. So we can explore that, but in order to advertise it where you need to advertise it, you're gonna spend $500 to $700, $800 just to advertise it, to get it out to the public where you need to get it out to so that you get the best possible price. Advertise it locally as an auction item and you just don't get the prices you need.
The only way it works with an auction is you gotta set a minimum bid.
Right,
Right.
which
What
we
about-
can do.
What about putting it in the hands of a private auctioneer or someone?
You could do that. You can certainly put it in the hands of a dealer, which is what you're doing when you trade it in. He's taking a risk that he's gonna be able to get that money for it. Somebody did offer $8,500 for it.
Take it.
And the problem with it, the member was a member of the Public Works Commission, which is a conflict of interest in an email. So, no, no longer. If he wants to give us $8,500, that's up to the Board of Selectmen. So you can't, we can certainly try to sell it and certainly get it, we can try doing it as, the price of the truck is the price of the truck. If you trade it in, you get that much different in cash or in the bottom line, or you can sell it and try to get more than $7,500 for it. I don't object either way. We just offer that as an option because in the past, when we've gone to sell trucks, we get nowhere near what we think they're worth. We put a minimum bid of $7,500 or $8,000 on it. You might get that, you might not get it, but that's what you have to put on it in order to make it. We sold the old 10-wheeler, we put a minimum bid of $5,000 on it because that's what the engine was worth. Somebody bought that for the engine, they didn't buy it and the transmission, they didn't buy it because the truck was in good shape.
Right, right, that happens.
So this policy's been in place for a very long time.
Since the charter.
How
When
do
I
you
was
think
chief of the
it's-
fire department, we used the
Okay.
state purchasing,
And
and that's
if you go out
state,
to bid, chances are,
it's gonna be higher.
Or
it's
sign
gonna
it
be
in your
higher,
spec.
or you're gonna end up with a little bid from Freightliner, where you were gonna go anyway.
Yes,
But
And
also,
if that happens,
they actually were the law, I think we had that issue happen once before.
so if that happens, all of these threats are gonna come back to you
Yes,
anyway.
but also,
So-
if you use the state thing, you may not meet the specs.
Right,
Yeah.
so the bottom line is that you put the specs out, you got a price.
we didn't put the specs out, we
No.
took the specs from the state website. Oh, you're talking
Right,
to go
but
out
I
to
mean,
bid?
but this is what
Yeah.
this is the truck you want me to
Correct.
be. If you go out to bid, we're gonna be 3 months,
Because you're gonna do a scope
because
review.
you're gonna have to do.
Correct.
Right, so you're not gonna get the truck when you're already not gonna get it when you
No.
need it.
I think it's,
You've got a trade-in potential here.
Yep.
Your policy is solid.
yeah,
I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm comfortable with allowing him to go forward. I think
Okay.
you're just looking for us to say, you want us to make the decision.
I want you to reaffirm
Okay.
or change your position from July 19th.
I
I mean, I think it puts
Either
you
way
behind
is fine.
time, it puts us in a position where we may end up
Yeah.
spending more and not getting the truck that you want. That's
John,
my.
Do you think if, say we said, don't worry about it, just purchase whatever, do you think you'd get it by this season or no?
He said spring.
Well, here's the other issue, I still have to go before the Board of Finance.
Who's meeting on Monday?
And yes, and I think there's, that's somewhat problematic and I understand that whole issue. So if they're okay with it, then it's still, I believe, has to go to a town meeting, even though it has to go to a town meeting. So I still gotta go through that whole process because it has to be approved that way. But I think, is it budgeted or not budgeted? I
It
think
is budgeted.
it is budgeted for a lease at this point in time. So it's not an appropriation, it's just
I'm just saying,
It's a
you're not gonna get it by
It's
this
what?
winter, it doesn't sound like, no matter
it's
what.
a resolution for the lease is what you're approving.
Right, because the 200,000 is
The money's there.
CC, right?
We took it out of CEC, it's part of that lease payment now that we made the budget.
Well, we gotta approve the
And
lease.
then the other issue is next year, if we get this truck, we dropped our R&M 40,000 this year, in this year's budget from last year, based on new equipment, and we'll drop that again, probably 20 to 25,000 next year, which almost doesn't quite cover the lease payment, but it comes pretty close. So, we're trying to, and then the CEC will reflect that there'll be no heavy equipment for the next 5 to 6 years.
Right, and then the only other issue is that trailer.
The trailer is, we've been asked by the commission to just go through that process and give them some processing on that. It would be dependent upon whether or not there was money available based on what Janet has, and it'd be available and what we go through that. So we've been asked for more information on that, which we will do.
I'm just, my point was, if you're not gonna get it this season, would it be worth satisfying some of these nuts to just go through the process? If you're not gonna have it, I'm just saying,
I think that's up
for
to the,
discussion here, I'm just
But the
thinking,
thing is, John,
and
just
what's the
satisfying.
worst case scenario?
We pay more, we don't get the
Or
truck
no,
we
you
need.
can always revert back to
So
state
what-
bid.
you can always revert it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, so
State bid.
you never know, these guys might sharpen their.
Yeah, but if you do
I'm not
that, you're right back
saying,
where you are now.
Right.
I'm saying,
That's
that's
my-
worst case.
I don't,
You're
experience
back
has
where you
shown
started.
that you don't get a lower price.
No, I don't mean you're back where you started from in terms of the price of the truck. You're back where you started from, and then you're gonna get the same flat that you're getting right now.
And is
You're
there-
back to state bid.
Will the state bid be
How
held
can
for that period of
How
time?
can they,
I think the
how can
state
they
is,
argue when you did what you
I'm not
wanted?
sure if it's, yeah, I'm not sure if
October.
it's December or October, I have to go look.
I mean, I'm just,
I think, John, if you look at, and I don't care which way you guys decide, it's a DOS, it's a Department of Administrative Services bid from the state. It's vetted by the state.
no, I
It's,
agree,
you know,
I'm just trying
And
to,
then when we do actually state projects or state grants, we have to use,
Pete, let me ask you a
yes,
question.
things.
Anything in those emails or those threats?
Pardon me?
Anything in those emails, or what, I'm gonna call them threats that you received, is there anything there that you think is a valid, legitimate gripe with the policy or the procedure that DPW took? Is there anything?
As I know the policy and as what's been done in the past, no. I think we followed everything that we have
oh, I think they're.
followed before I was going through it.
For the record.
Again, the only thing I can say is, in the past, the heavy equipment end of it, the state bid, and we've actually, sometimes, we had to morph that into a Massachusetts state bid at one point, because you couldn't buy the machine on a bid for what we could buy it on a Massachusetts state bid. We did it both ways. So, history has dictated that you will get a bid, you go out to bid and you'll add in a bunch of the options that you're looking for. And,
Yeah, no,
but you won't get those options because they're not available
Right.
on every
Right.
truck.
Because it's
I
proprietary
understand
to
what
one
you did.
company.
I'm just asking, you're
No, there was
really
nothing I saw
uncomfortable
there
making a
that-
decision, so I
mean, it's the
I guess
procedure's
I'm
been a
just tired
common
of using
procedure.
That's why we get
people
paid the big
policies for
bucks.
solid, is my.
Yeah, like I said, this has not been an issue in the past. I bought $3 million worth of asphalt on the
State.
state bid. You know. And I went out to bid for the same asphalt, it was $20 more a ton, or $12 more a ton, or, you know, so salt we didn't buy because the state,
You get a better
one
price.
year, cut us off. In the middle of a bad winter, we had no salt in town. Had this-
Well, here's my issue with, John just said something that made me think of something. So, if we do this, we go out to bid for this one thing,
Yep.
which you normally don't do,
Yep.
aren't we then changing our policy? Or we're just.
No, 'cause I think
feel
Case
like-
by case.
Is it
It's case by case, and it does, it says you may or may not. I don't think you're changing the policy, I just think, my concern is somebody looking from the outside, I mean, you know how Facebook is this day and age, you know, somebody posts
No.
something and, you know, all of a sudden it's got, you know, the Public Works is ripping off the taxpayers. So
Yeah,
my point to coming to you is, I think what we gave you is a reasonable cost for the equipment and the options that we would like to see, and we would ask on any specification. And the only difference between you would see is maybe a cost on those options, and if you really took the option cost out and just bought strictly the chassis, Freightliner would have been less than International at that point.
Right, so the question
So,
now
I
is that
mean-
is if we do this, is it gonna really, if you're not gonna have it anyway,
Well, theoretically, if it gets to the point it's gonna go to town meeting in September, would that be enough time if it's approved to get the truck by December?
I don't think so.
Right.
okay, so then John's point,
Yeah, like I said, we'll do it either way you want, that's why I came back to it.
I guess just go through the process.
I'm just being the devil's advocate.
No, but you're right though, if he's not
I
gonna
could
have
go
it.
either way, honestly.
Right.
I mean, I'm fully,
I mean, I think, you know, you follow the procedure, and I don't see any, I see both sides. I see that,
Yes.
you know, you're concerned about perception, but I also think you follow policy.
You can make, the
But if
problem
you're
is,
not gonna have it anyway for the season that you need it for,
I think the concern I had, Lynn, was not so much the state bid and the pricing and the options and the validation of that. I had a concern with being accused of doing things that we did not do. Like bypassing,
yeah.
doing secret bidding and secret quoting, and, I mean, there was some stuff said in emails that was, and then offering to go back to make sure everybody understood what we were doing, and then not even being allowed to do that from an individual, and then, we're all a bunch of losers and idiots, and I
Okay,
mean,
well, obviously you're not comfortable, so listen, are you guys, is there anything else? So I'll just make a motion on that. I guess discuss
Okay.
the vote.
I just want to
Did
say.
you want to add anything, Bruce?
Yeah. I wanted to add what you all voted on the July 19th meeting in question. It was to approve the purchase of the heavy-duty trailer contingent upon the funds being made available and sent to Board of Finance. That's exactly what you did. We had already talked about the fact that the funds were already set aside
For a truck.
in the amount of $20,000.
Not for
Well,
a trailer.
the
No,
money for the
these funds
truck
were set
has
aside
already
for
been
the
set
truck.
aside.
for the truck, but not the trailer.
We approved the
But you
trailer.
approved to move forward to Board of Finance, the
Trailer.
heavy-duty trailer, assuming that the funds.
So the truck doesn't go to Board of Finance?
Huh?
Truck doesn't go to Board of Finance, it was just a trailer. Because you were talking about leasing the trailer.
No, I'm talking about leasing the police purchase truck, I think they have to approve the lease purchase. The Board of Finance and then send it to a town meeting.
Because we didn't vote on the truck.
You just voted on the trailer.
All right, so right
That's what I'm
now,
trying to point out.
so right now, the money's not been, we didn't vote on the truck.
No.
Nope.
And you know why, I think? Was it
We're waiting for
because
the
we were waiting
Tuesday's
for the,
meeting.
we were waiting?
That's not the way, that's fine.
It was a contingent upon Janet, if the money was available. I don't-
Yeah.
Yeah, I think something like that.
Yeah.
All right,
It was
so right
already
now,
budgeted.
we either have to move to approve the 200 lease purchase of the truck
Using
as
state
is,
bid, right.
using state bid, or we have to, I guess,
Approve,
vote
go out
on
to bid.
approve for you to go
Go
out
with
to
the
bid.
bid. Mhm.
Okay.
Pete,
Yeah.
if it went out to bid, I mean, obviously it's gonna be how many, International, Freightliner, I don't know, how's that work?
Yeah. Well, what happens is, somebody suggested Western Star.
Yeah,
So we get into a meeting, and they say, well, Western Star, Freightliner sells Western Star. But they don't sell Western Star. They said, well, they don't sell what we need, we'd have to go to a Western Star dealer in Massachusetts, which we deemed, even if it's a good price, for warranty work and getting it back and forth and getting stuff just in Massachusetts from here, didn't seem feasible even if it came in at a good price. So you would go out to bid, you go out with the basic chassis specifications. You would not limit that in any way by saying it had to be an aluminum cab, a steel cab, and just say, give us your basic chassis. Here's what we're looking for. Cab, dashboard, this rear end, these sets, this front end, this transmission, this engine. And then you would add an option list that says, we would like to see, one of the things Freightliner has is a kill switch where you flip it and it kills the whole truck so you don't drain your batteries while it's sitting there. Some Mac didn't offer that, or International didn't offer that. So you go out with your options list next and say, one offers a too high velocity for the windshield, which is very important to us when we're out in the middle of winter storms. Others just offer a standard defroster. So that's when you add all that stuff in. And then you begin to add all that together, and then you evaluate the bid based on that. I will tell you, the issues that you run into is you might get a better price, but the cab may be steel or you're looking for aluminum. So you gotta weigh all that. So sometimes things come in a little bit more expensive, but it makes more sense from an operational. We even have to have a different hydraulic pump than the normal hook lift because we're gonna be plowing and sanding with it. So we have to change the way the pump is designed. You know, it's just a high volume, low pressure, or high pressure, low volume. You just gotta change the way that pump is. So you have to add that all in, and then people submit based on, you ask for a certain rear end of the truck, they don't supply that rear end, they give you a different one. You ask for a certain spring setup, they don't have that, but they give you an alternative. So you have to go through that whole process, John.
You gotta do it complete.
Okay, I also want to add, which Pete didn't talk about, but he has before, it's a very good point, that, again, it's not just the lowest price, but when you're looking at the experience of the DPW in terms of repair and maintenance of this new vehicle, because we're going to have it a long time. And cost is a big factor relative to repair and maintenance, so that has to be taken into consideration too. And the instrumentation for the operator of the truck is a key element. The stuff's got to be right in front of the guy that he needs to have access to. It doesn't need to be leaning over there.
That's kind of my whole point, we have a truck we want. I don't
Yeah.
understand why.
So at the end of the day, it's not just price.
If there
All
were
the
a,
elements that have to go into it.
to me, if there were a $30,000, a $20,000 difference, I think you'd have to seriously go back and look at that. Nobody's been able to, you know, the best they could come up with was 5,000, and it was not, it was, that chassis was nowhere comparable to the Freightliner chassis. So, and we talked to the dealer that the person quoted, we actually called the dealer
Yeah,
and
you know
said,
what?
send us everything.
You have the truck you want. I think the
Yeah.
policies and procedures were followed. So I'm gonna make a motion to just
Proceed with state bid.
proceed with the state bid on purchase of the truck. It's purchase lease, right? Of the truck as presented on July 19th.
Second.
Any further discussion? In favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Took us a while, but.
Motion carried. You got it.
You gotta vote.
No, I know.
Okay, thank you.